Celebrate, have a good time. 10 years love and more to come. MTN South Sudan, we're here to serve you everywhere you go. Let us celebrate, let us celebrate. MTN South Sudan, everywhere you go. Yakwana tatakum, kedena enjoy sawa, zema anabada sawa, bifara wa muhaba. MTN bihibu itakum, MTN mabisibu itakum. Celebrate, celebrate. Let us celebrate, have a good time. 10 years love and more to come. MTN South Sudan, we're here to serve you everywhere you go. Let us celebrate, have a good time. 10 years love and more to come. MTN South Sudan.
comes to you big and better with the MTN Ashara. MTN Ashara as MTN celebrates 10 years of existence in South Sudan. Win a brand new 2020 Toyota RAV4 SUV plus 9 brand new 2020 Toyota Yaris cars. We're leaving nobody out. We also have 10 brand new motorbikes, MTN laptop bags, smartwatches, headphones, and many MTN goodies. MTN airtime, wire bundles. You only have to recharge 1,000 SSP or more and win over 100 million SSP in reward. Join the MTN Ashara today and be a winner.
beside Ujunu, Anabi Amin fi beledna, Kelena di Musa, Kelena ektefil penna jatana. Let us celebrate, have a good time. 10 years now and more to come. MTN South Sudan, we're here to serve you everywhere you go. Let us celebrate, have a good time. 10 years now and more to come. MTN South Sudan, we're here to serve you everywhere you go. Kwana tautakum, kedena enjoy sa, zema ana barasa, befara wa muhaba, MTN bihibu itakum, MTN mabisibu itakum, celebrate, celebrate, let us celebrate, have a good time, 10 years now and more to come, MTN South Sudan, we're here to serve you everywhere you go. Let us celebrate, have a good time, 10 years now and more to come, MTN South Sudan, we're here to serve you everywhere you go.
Hello. Good afternoon to everyone, and welcome to the MTN Business Roundtable. This is MTN South Sudan, and it's a sunny and partially rainy day out of Juba in South Sudan. Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for joining us. I think we're still waiting for more of our panelists to join us. We are live on Facebook and also live on Zoom. And we see the house filling up pretty fast. Good afternoon to you and welcome to the first session of the season 2 series of MTN Business Roundtable. And the MTN Business Roundtable is a monthly event that we plan or we have during this period of the MTN Business Support Program. And we support small businesses across South Sudan. And in that process, also bring the best and world-class African entrepreneurs to share ideas and to basically inspire ourselves and inspire other small businesses. And today we are very proud to have in our midst our Vice President for South and East Africa region for MTN Group as our special guest on today's program, as well as Mr. Theo Baloyi, who is the Chief Executive Officer and founder of Bathu Shoes. And Bathu Shoes is a startup sneaker company, and they are doing wonderful things in South Africa. So just for housekeeping purposes, maybe we can put our cameras on, most of us in the panel, just to say hi to everybody and also to welcome our VP Yolanda and Theo Baloyi, who are our special guests for today's session. So quick one, can we just put our cameras on and then just welcome our guests.
Hi, Saint. I think you have to do something about the cameras. We can't put on our cameras yet.
Okay, I think we can do that now. Okay. Sorry about that technology. Great to see all of you. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Saint.
Okay, we are waiting for the pictures to keep popping up. Okay, I see you, Helga. Good afternoon. Charles, good afternoon, VP. Thank you. Okay, Juhab, who is an alumni from season 1, also joins us. Juhab, good afternoon to you. And we see Sherif from the VP's office. Sherif, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so I think to start off the program, what we'll be doing is basically just have a quick introduction of the various beneficiaries. I think we have 734 Water, J&M Beauty Parlor, Hagana Agro Processing, and we have a fourth, which is Suk Juba. I believe they're also still trying to connect. to join us. Hello, everybody, the guys in season 2. Can you hear us? Can you put on your microphone, your cameras, so we can say hi to our guests? Okay, I see the camera come on and go off again. Okay. Great. Okay, I think it's a full house here. So thank you again for joining this session. To start off, as a brief background, so the MTN Small Business Support Program, for those who are new to this, is an event that was introduced by MTN South Sudan. And basically, our hope is to help a lot of small businesses in South Sudan to enable them to scale as MTN. And in the first season, we managed to have 10 companies in South Sudan in the program, and we've seen a lot of them grow and gain a lot of traction. And in this second season, we are basically accepting nominations whilst also adoring those who have made it into the program. We currently have 4 businesses that have made it into the program. That is 734 Water. We'll be hearing more about them. We also have Hagana Agro Processing, which is an agro processing company. And then we have J&M Beauty Parlor. And then we also have Soup Jubba, which is an online marketplace. So those are the companies currently in the season 2 of the MTN Small Business Roundtable. We would basically go and get a small word from our 2 panelists who have joined us before we go through the main program. So VP, any special message for the team before we start the program? And then we'll have an introductory comment as well from Theo.
Good day, everyone. I mean, for me, it is absolutely a privilege and an honor to be part of this program. And primarily because as MTN, we really believe in the power of small businesses to actually drive change, but also to drive economic transformation in all the countries in which we operate. As we sit here today, we know about 99% of actual companies or operations that employ people are actually small and medium-sized businesses. So for us to lend a hand in the space is absolutely crucial, and actually make sure that we are enabling an environment where we are able to allow for African solutions to African problems. So in that regard, thank you for joining us and also for being part of this. As MTN South Sudan, in the last couple of years, in the last 3 years, actually, we've actually invested about $100 million on our network in terms of connectivity to ensure that we are bridging the gap on connectivity. In the last year alone, we launched 4G, which actually enables your business to actually operate even more efficiently. So from that perspective, we are going to continue to actually do what we're doing around the investment in our infrastructure to enable each and everyone's business. Our role as a socially responsible corporate within the country is to ensure that we are liberating all the potential innovation and creativity and talent in the country for the benefit of the people of the country. So with those words, I'd like to welcome each and every one of you and tell you that this commitment that we've made around helping small businesses in South Sudan is not just a fly-by-night kind of marketing campaign, but a deep-seated kind of belief that we have. And I'm super excited that today we actually have Theo, who actually also happens to be here in South Africa where I am. And he is a super kind of successful entrepreneur. And I'm looking forward to hearing him inspire us, challenge us, and empower us and tell us, I mean, as small businesses, what is really important. It is the acquisition of the customers. It is the engagement of the customers so that they can keep on coming back and so on and so on. And then the retention of the customer. And I would love to hear how he's managed to do these things with his brands, with his brand in such a short space of time, so that we can learn and be inspired by him, so that we can do more. I'm also I was quite impressed by some of the companies that are part of the sort of second round of this initiative, 734 Water, Hagan products, and so on. These are inspiring stories for others to actually also emulate. So we are grateful that you are part of this program and look forward to actually doing more with you.
Great, great, great. That's a very warm way to start. Thank you very much, VP, for your kind words. I think to follow suit on that, even before we get to Theo to give us his magic, we would hear from the current participants in the program. We will go and hear about their businesses, try to understand what their business is and what inspired them to join into this program, since VP has already set the tone for us with regard to the type of businesses. I think we heard about Hagana Agro Processing. Let's hear from Dut Majak, which is Souk Juba, a company that is trying to run an online marketplace in South Sudan. After that, we will also hear from J&M Beauty Parlor, and then we'll come back and have our guest speaker speak to us.
Hey, yeah. Anna diamond ini, Anna mabisi bujuno buara.
First of all, I want to thank MTN helping the local sellers to sell their products through our platform, so they can reach many customers at the same time, and it will be easy for the customer and the seller also, instead of moving or staying in one place. So we are providing them this platform so they can buy, or they can save the energy and everything, and even the cost for the operation. The inspiration can be from many different ways, but for me, what inspires me is the challenge. Always, if I face the challenge, then this challenge I have to. For me, the big challenge is how people get to know me. Because we just start, and in order to advertise, I have to invest a lot of money in advertisement, in the newspaper, in the billboard, and all this, so people can know me. This is a challenge for my business. So, because if people do not know me, no one will sell through my platform, and no one will buy through my platform. So this is one of the big challenges. The second one, the use of the internet. Our users in South Sudan, the use of the internet, they focus on social media mostly. So for us, it's a challenge. So we are now starting educating small group how to use the platform and how can benefit from that. My message is very short. First of all, believe in yourself. Don't wait for the government to provide you the jobs. In Africa, including South Sudan, there's a lot of opportunities. Just look around you. If you face a problem, that is opportunity. If you get a solution for that problem, then of course you will get money out from there. So dream big, and while you are dreaming, work very hard to achieve this dream. And when you achieve this dream, don't let the money change your behavior. Because when you achieve your dreams, of course, you will get money. And then the money always comes with a new problem. So, watch your step and go forward.
MTN Small Business Roundtable. Everywhere.
parlor that's deal with bridal makeup, hairdressing, pedicure, manicure, and among the others. What inspired me to do the business? Some years back, I was a model, and it was really challenging as a young nation. For us, as a model, we didn't have that area where we can do our makeup, or a beauty house where, you know, when you're in Barangwe later or you're doing a show, you will not have that professional makeup on you. So, and luckily I was the only person I can do my makeup. And that thing really inspired me, and you know, other people are feeling the same way, but you know, in a beauty industry, young people, they feel like doing this a makeup work is something which is not good. You cannot just do something like that. But in other world, makeup industry is inspiring other people, and it's a good work. That, you know, it's not only that inspire me by just I want to do it or maybe to earn money, but also it's my talent and it's a fashion that I love doing it. Well, in every business set up, it's not easy for you to just start it and you say tomorrow I want to do this. Capital is always a problem. To me, it was a difficult time to set up a beauty parlor or a J&M beauty parlor, but by the help of my relatives and friends, so I'm now able to set up my beauty parlor. And also, now since we set up the beauty parlor, also getting customers, it's a problem. And you know, if you have a beauty salon, you have to have customers, you have to advertise, and you know, to get an advertisement, you have to have a page that need to post your page every day for other people to know your activities or what are the kind of things that you're doing in the salon. But by the help of MTN, they step in, and we know that our brand will be known. And my message to South Sudan and African youth is that, you know, youth are the backbone of nations. Knowing that you have a talent or you have a fashion in something that you can do and make other people inspire, I think it's very important. And as a youth, makeup industry, it's not bad. And it's also inspired like musicians, these young girls who are just sitting there outside, not only girls, but even men who have this fashion to do makeup or any other beauty thing. So don't just sit behind there in your comfort zone and you think maybe I don't have anything to do. Whatever talent you have fashion, you have that mentality of doing it, but problem to us as Africans, so let's just wake up and do our best.
MTN South Sudan.
Okay, so those are the stories of two of our 4 beneficiaries in this season. A big applaud to Suk Juba and J&M Beauty Parlor. We'll be hearing from 734 Water and Hagana Agro Processing as the program goes on. Thanks very much for joining us again. This is the MTN Business Roundtable coming to you live from Juba, and today we are hosting Mr. Theo Baloyi, Chief Executive Officer and founder of Bathu Shoes. We also have as our guest speaker, our special guest, our MTN Group Vice President for West, South and East Africa region, Madam Yolanda Cuba, who's also joined us at the beginning of the program. Now, before we introduce Theo to start, just a few housekeeping before we go. I've realized that we've had a number of guests join us and some of our business partners. We do have Pseudo Hits, one of our partners in the music space and trying to promote Ayoba. Welcome. As well, we've seen some of our partners from the banks and the financial institutions also joining us from Kush Bank and Alpha Bank. Thank you for joining us. I've seen also some comments coming through. Now, how we are going to run is that you can post your questions in the chat section if you're on Zoom. If you're on Facebook, we have a team on Facebook that's also going to collate any of the questions that you're going to have for Mr. Theo Baloyi. In between the presentations, we will have the questions, and then we will have the remaining two participants also come to give tell us about their program and their products as well. Mr. Theo Baloyi is, how do I even describe him before I introduce him? He is an entrepreneur and an accountant by profession. I think he started his career working for what you'd call one of the big four accounting firms in the world. Having lived most of his youth in Alexandria, which is a community in South Africa with his uncle, Theo had a constant desire to realize the vision of creating a truly authentic South African sneaker brand. And as a qualified accountant, having worked in South Africa and in the Middle East, he left his job to become a full-time entrepreneur. Theo's vision is to create a proudly African sneaker brand, ensuring that all residing in Africa and abroad can resonate with the brand. The Bathu brand has been growing in leaps and bounds since its launch in 2015, so it's barely 6 years old. And with its trendy and chic look, it's offering a handful of ranges from kiddies to adults. And we are proud to also be customers, apart from also being partners in this program. I'm a proud Bathu fan, and most of you who've seen me around Juba, you see me in my Bathu shoes. With a desire to playing his part to reducing unemployment, Theo's current staff complement provides employment to over 250 employees, and he lives his life according to 3 values: honesty, loyalty, and humility. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. Theo Baloyi, who is the Chief Executive and founder of Bathu Shoes. Welcome, Theo.
Thank you kindly. First and foremost, I just want to say thank you to MTN for the invitation. As already introduced, my name is Theo Baloyi. Oftentimes my title says I'm a Chief Executive Officer, but I prefer to call myself the first employee of Bathu, the first employee officer of Bathu. I just want to say thank you so much to MTN for such a great initiative. You know, I'm a product of opportunity. Throughout my journey, which I'm going to share shortly with you, I've been awarded great opportunities. I've been part of great, incubations, and I've been mentored by great people. And when I look at the platform that MTN, has created for emerging brands, emerging businesses, it's quite great. So kudos to MTN for such a great platform and building something that is really inclusive. As Yolanda's already said, that developing businesses that can solve our own problems and understand the dynamics of our own ecosystem. So as already introduced, my name is Theo Baloyi. I am the first employee officer for Bathu. Our vision is to build a shoe brand that Africans can proudly affiliate with. And right at the core of our mission, is to reignite hope and create sustainable jobs. So my talk today will be, tailor-made into 3, segments. Number 1, I'll tell the background of our business. Number 2 will be where we are, with our business and what we've achieved. and what is the future for Bathu in terms of scaling it and growing it globally. I started Bathu in 2015 in my room in Alex with a vision to build a shoe brand that Africans can proudly affiliate with. Alexandra is one of the impoverished, underprivileged townships in South Africa. And I'm a accountant by profession, as already mentioned in my intro. I worked for PricewaterhouseCoopers for about 5 years, 2 years in South Africa and 3 years in the Middle East, based in Dubai. And again, that's also a product of one of the opportunities that I've gotten that have shaped me to be the leader that I am. And what inspired me to start Bathu was that I used to buy a lot of sneakers in 2015 between my travels between South Africa and the Middle East. And to a point that, at the end of 2015, I had such a valuable collection of sneakers, mainly limited editions of sneakers. But one thing was missing out of that, collection, a true African sneaker brand. And there's a powerful saying that says, if you're buying too much of something, why not own it? And oftentimes at the time when I was traveling between the Middle East and South Africa, I was, exposed to a reality in my township, as mentioned already, that Alexandra Township is one of the impoverished, underprivileged townships in South Africa. The reality of my situation at the time, in as much as I was working abroad and having given the opportunities and changing my life, my reality, was the same when I went back home in Alexandra. Reality where a high, rate of unemployment, the youth have sort of lost hope. When I speak to our people in the townships with no employment, sort of almost giving up on life, I realized that I am duty bound as a South African citizen, number one, and as a child who lived in Alex, to do something about the conditions at the time, where I believe that I can build a business that can sort of be a source of inspiration and a point of light to our people. And hence our mission in the business talks about reigniting hope and creating sustainable jobs. So I started working on the principle when I was in Alexandra. When I was in Alexandra doing my undergrad in accounting, I used to sell perfumes door to door. And I would love to believe that that's when the entrepreneurial bug bit me, because I really enjoyed the dynamics of, starting a business, selling unbranded colognes at the time. And even the way we started our business, I think it was quite genius because we never had the seed capital to start the perfume business. When I say we, I'm including my friend here, my best mate, Henry Lale, who's now our head of operations at Bathu. So we thought about how do we actually go about raising that seed capital to start this perfume business? Because in the township, in as much as it's an underprivileged township, people really like dressing up and looking good. So we discovered that identified a gap in the market that not everyone can afford to buy expensive colognes. So we went ahead and found a source of a supply of oil-based perfumes. And the way we started the business, we didn't have the capital to start the business. We went to a guy who lived in the township who used to sell ties, cufflinks, and pocket squares. We proposed to him that he gives us his stock on consignment, and then we add our own markup, sell it, and then pay him his cut. We get our cut, and that's how we got to raise our own seed capital to start the perfume business. So even when I went into corporate, I knew that at the end of the day, I want to be an entrepreneur in the future and solve the socio-economic, issues and problems that we're exposed to as a community. So I went on to work for PricewaterhouseCoopers and obviously focused on my professional journey and building my corporate experience with the firm, and that perfume business died out. My reality still remained the same, that all the time when I went back home in Alex, I could see that a lot of people are unemployed. So that's why I started Bathu. And I used to spend a lot of money on sneakers. So I thought, why not just own it? But what really inspired me is that during my travels, I was at the Dubai airport duty-free section, flying to Saudi Arabia. And I was very fortunate, rather unfortunate to have an 8-hour layover at the Dubai airport duty-free section. I had to, without launch access. So I had to roam around the airport for 8 hours. And I identified this store at the duty-free section where they were selling souvenirs for tourists. And I was very fortunate, that on that day, the owner was there. It was a store that had so much traffic and people were buying a lot of, their products there. And I was very inquisitive to find out what is this brand about. And I had a chat with the owner. And, one thing that I took from our conversation as I was connecting to Saudi Arabia was that It was a French brand in Dubai telling or narrating a French story that the French community can resonate with. And I started asking myself, what are we doing as Africans to tell our own stories? What are we doing as Africans to take our own heritage, to embody it into products, into ecosystems, into value chains that we can export to the rest of the world? For those who don't know, the word Bathu means shoe in South African slang. So South Africa alone is known to be a very diverse country, filled and rich in with heritage, different ways of speaking, 11 official languages, different ways of engaging, different ways of wearing our clothes. Even in the heritage, when we celebrate, we've got so much culture to celebrate and diversity to celebrate. But when you go to the South African townships and you get in there and you tell them about Bathu, everyone knows that you're talking about a shoe. So I thought about this is a beautiful and tall South African story. How about that I conceptualize it into a sneaker brand and export that story to the world? And the bigger picture is it's about time that we as Africans, we take our own heritage, we embody it into ecosystems, products, and services that the rest of the world can receive. Africa has been at the receiving end for the longest of time. You might ask, what receiving end, Theo? The receiving end of technology, the receiving end of latest app, you name it, Uber, Facebook, Twitter, in the last 10 or 20 years or so, we've been at the receiving end of everything else that comes from anywhere in the world. And it's about time that we as Africans, we really embody our heritage, and really embody it into products and services and ecosystems that the rest of the world can receive. We already see that happening in music, in entertainment, where we are already exporting a huge talent to abroad. So we need to do that as African entrepreneurs, emerging businesses alongside corporate Africa and building solid businesses and building innovation or innovating rather and exporting all of that to the rest of the world. And that is what I aim to do with our brand. I did about 18 months of research and development. And in that, with approval, I did a proof of concept. I did a study on counterfeit. I did a study on brand positioning. I did a study on marketing. And I was quite fortunate that the timing when I started, there was huge thing around influencer marketing and social media when I started. The accountant in me did not know what that means, did not know the dynamics and the technicalities of influencer marketing, how it works, how you model it, how you tailor make it to clients. So I had to do a lot of study on that. And hence it took me about 18 months of working behind the scenes and building our brand. And one of the interesting findings that I got from that research and development was that we've got about 7 continents in the world. And each and every continent has a fair presentation of a footwear brand. You look at South America, Brazil to mention, they've got Ipanema and Havaianas. The States itself, it's got Nike, started by Phil Knight, Under Armour, Kevin Plank, Converse, Chuck Taylor, and many other European footwear brands, many other Italian footwear brands that we as Africans oftentimes consume and embrace as our own. When I did my study, I couldn't find one footwear brand that can be benchmarked with all of these international footwear brands that I've mentioned. Yet we as Africans, we consume so much of footwear brands. And I took it upon myself to build a shoe brand that Africans can proudly affiliate with. Don't get me wrong, we have thousands and thousands of footwear brands in Africa, but we don't have one that can be benchmarked in terms of product development, market share, innovation. We can even take it further to CSI, a brand that anyone in the world in Europe can look at it as a brand from Africa and buy it, not because of it's an African brand, but because of the brand promise, the values that it aligns with. It speaks to that individual who's in Italy, who's in France, who's in London. So I took it upon myself to build a shoe brand that Africans can proudly affiliate with. And talking about that, 5 years in, we are a business that we are today. We've obviously, throughout the journey, we've been supported by a lot of people in South Africa and across the board as well, that has really helped us build this shoe brand. In our business, as I've mentioned, when I went back home in Alex, I realized that we have a lot of people, and predominantly the youth, that are unemployed. I decided to quit my job in the Middle East, a tax-free salary employment, 4 times what I was earning in South Africa, decided to go back home, relocate back home, start from the ground and build from the ground up. And that's what we did with Bathu. We started off with 100 pairs of our mesh edition. Even though to get that production of the 100 pairs, we went through some challenges and adversity. I was declined about 13 times with our prototype mesh edition. Mainly because when we started in 2015, I didn't want to just build a shoe brand and come up with a design that everyone can just wear and it looks like the same. I wanted to conceptualize a sneaker brand that is going to be different, or a product that is going to be different. Hence, all our SKUs and all our products, they've got the straps, and we wanted to build color. We always embrace color and express ourselves in color. And we also have the straps in the sole to express our diversity. And we wanted to build a cool factor shoe. I remember at the time when I started in 2015, there was a trend that was really happy. I think there was a trend of happy socks happening, all over the globe, and mainly dominated by a brand called Happy Socks. And I realized that all the time when people are wearing their happy socks, they are actually not showing them off. So how about that we build a shoe that you can express your happy socks, and you can actually express your happiness and build a happy shoe. And that's how the mesh edition came about. But when I pitched that concept to the factory, they declined us about 13 times because oftentimes in footwear manufacturing, mesh material is used as a component of a shoe. It's either you use mesh on the side, on the top, at the back. My concept at the time was that I wanted to build the entire shoe with mesh material. And that's why they declined me 13 times, until I flew down to Durban at the factory and approached the owner and spoke with the owner and proposed to him that they do switch on their machines. Even though it's 100 pairs, there's no profit that you're going to make. There's a lot of labor costs that they need to incur, and electricity and many other things, but I believed in the product. And we did that. A week later, we sold out, went on to order 1,000 pairs. A few weeks later, went on to order 3,000 pairs. 2 months later, went on to order 6,000 pairs. Now we do tons and tons and thousands of pairs a month. I kid you not, they cannot afford to miss my call today. And over the last 5 years, we've managed to employ about 250 people in the business. We've managed to build 30 brick and mortar stores and 31, including our online, which is our omni-channel as well. And the way we did it was that we really used the influencer marketing tool to communicate our brand promise, to get our brand out there. But not only that, we really cemented our brand in our story and what it means and our vision. And not only that, but also try to show people how we are building a shoe brand that Africans can proudly affiliate with. Number two, show our consumers what impact we are making in our communities in terms of job creation and uplifting our people. Because our brand is for people. It's a brand that talks about walking your journey, a journey to greatness. And that's our brand promise. Because not everyone puts in a shoe unless they embark on a journey. And we want Bathu to be a shoe of choice on your journey. Whether you are in South Sudan, whether you're in Kenya, whether you're in Zimbabwe, whether you're in Italy, tell us how you're walking your journey. And we want to walk that journey of greatness with you. And the beauty about journey is that it does not have color, size, or shape. It's a journey to greatness. And we want Bathu to be a shoe of choice on your journey. And we come into everyone in the continent, in the world, and say, we started in a very small room in Annex. No funding, either seed capital, no funding, either private or public equity from anyone. I bootstrapped my savings from the Middle East, self-funded the business, bootstrapped my resources, built from the ground up. And one might say, Theo, why do you do it 100%? Why do you do it without funding? How did you do it without funding? The accountant in me, when I was with the firm at PwC, I had a privilege of working in mergers and acquisitions and did some deals. We called it the competency deals at the time. And often in my, accounting profession, in my corporate experience, I've never really seen a business that is self-funded, 100% equity, built from the ground up, scaling. Oftentimes we see it in Silicon Valley with the tech companies when they start, once after proof of concept, after doing the prototype, they start selling equity. So I really started this with a passion project to say and ask myself the question, is it really possible to build a business with your own resources, scale it, create impact, and still maintain, that equity? And obviously through in the future, we are going to sell, but is it really possible to really build a business of great impact with no resources? It was a passion project, which is something that I still want to do my thesis on, which is equity one day. And that's how we started. Bootstrap my savings, bootstrap my resources, used it well and utilized it very well in building the business, in avenues of the business that are going to help us grow our brand, from marketing to buying the right assets for the business at the right time and scaling it. And how we got to really, I think, expose and grow our brand and really retain our clients, we had brand advocates that really resonate with our story of building a shoe brand that Africans can proudly affiliate with. Brand advocates that resonate with what Bathu is all about. And we had to leverage on getting them on board by that story. When we started, I never paid any celebrity that has won and advocated for a brand, never paid for any sort of influencer marketing, even though influencer marketing was a very costly and expensive exercise. You might ask, how did you do that? The perfume boy in me, and who used to hustle people and who's used to selling and really going out there, literally went to the celebrities and really sold the story, leverage from the story, because it's a story that they too can resonate with. It's a story that they grew up with, and took the story and used it as an asset to leverage for influencer marketing. And because they deeply connect and resonate with the story, they were willing to sell and to push the story even more. When they did that, they introduced my brand to their large followings, to their fans, who then converted into sales. And when they converted into sales, I reinvested the money into building the business, into building my working capital so that I can expand it the way we do in this tough time. The first 2 years of my business, even though today we've got 30 stores, I was an online business, selling from the boot of my car, building my omni-channel, making sure I'm retaining my clients and reinvesting all the proceeds. Never changed my lifestyle, even when I came back from Dubai. Never changed my car, drove it for 7 years, and took all the proceeds and reinvested it and allocated in the right avenues of the business, right avenues from inventory, my human capital processes, reinvesting in the right resources and assets in the business, resources that are going to make sure that we own the end-to-end value chain and we scale up, each and every quarter, that we report to. And that's how I got to build the business. First 2 years, I got approached by a lot of malls, a lot of landlords asking me to open stores. I said no, because I was working on this strategy of owning the end-to-end value chain, retaining the equity, and building my working capital so that I can invest it between CAPEX and OPEX and be able to retain my business in favorable times of trade and in unfavorable times of trade. And talking about that, little did I know that there are unfavorable times of trade that are coming. Year 3 into the business, going to year 4, we got hit by COVID, which were very unfavorable times across the globe for trade. But because I built my working capital in the first 2 years, I managed to survive COVID. The first month when President Ramaphosa announced hard lockdown in our country, March 2020, no one worked. All my employees were at home, our stores were closed, but I still paid 100% salaries to my employees. Till today, we've never fired anyone in our business due to the results of pandemic, because we are a business that is people before profit. Our mission speaks about that. To reignite hope and create sustainable jobs. Talking about that, just this year, we got the Job Creation Company of the Year at the Top Empowerment. And that goes to show that our mission, you can audit it. We're not saying it's not for PR. We want to build a shoe brand that Africans can proudly affiliate with. Talking about that, just to audit our vision, we just named now this year Brands Africa. We are part of the most admired 100 most admired African brands, ranking number 10 on the list, alongside the Dangote Group, MTN, DSTV. We were number 10. Here's this brand in a room in Alex, ranking number 10. A study conducted by Brands Africa in 28 countries, which constitutes 80% of African consumers. Over 3,500 unique brands in Africa. Here's this brand from a room a 20 square meter room in Alex, ranking number 10. And that speaks to who we are, a shoe brand that Africans can proudly affiliate with. And that's where we want to go in the next 10 years going forward. We already have an appetite. We've done our study through our online sessions and our online sales. We've got a very good appetite, in the SADC region, East and West Africa. Now we want to amplify our brand promise there. The strategy might be different. The way we're selling our products might be different, selling to a different audience. But we want to come to those regions and say we are a proudly South African brand, and we want to walk the journey with all our African brothers and sisters across the globe. And we want to know our clientele in South Sudan. What does walk your journey mean in that region? How are you walking your journey? And we want you to walk that journey with Bathu. This is how we in South Africa have done it with our business. How are we doing it in Nigeria? And when we do that as inclusive Africans, as an inclusive African consumer, and we start embracing African stories, African products and ecosystem, the world will catch up to us. When you've got presidents of African states traveling in truly African products, telling truly African narratives to the world will catch up to us. That's how we build an ecosystem that is inclusive in Africa. And we want to do that in footwear. Someone wants to do that in tech. Someone wants to do that in telecommunications. Someone wants to do that in music and art and many other industries and sectors. And that's who we are. We are a brand that is for people. We've got people in our business. When we started, they started with our business. Some of them started as drivers. Today, they are warehouse supervisors. Some of them started as receptionists. Today, they are leading our e-commerce or omni-channel teams. Some of them started as casuals at our retail stores. Today, they are regional managers in retail. We've got people in our business that have bought their first cars. Some are even on their third car. People who've erected tombstones for their loved ones. People who've bought houses for their families. And that speaks to being a true African, a business that understands African socio-economic issues and comes up with solutions to solve them. A business that is for people and that is for people upliftment. And that's who we are. That is Bathu. And that's how we want to walk our journey. And I often say this, that I left one job in the Middle East, as I've said, in the Middle East. One job that provided for me and my family only. I quit it all, came back home, started from humble beginnings in a room in Alex, and built a business that provided for 250 more families. And it's all about taking the risk. It's all about understanding the issues that you are encountering in your community, in your country, and coming up with ways that you can really solve, or solutions that you can solve those issues. Like as I've said, my reality at the time was the people in Tanzania that I knew in my community, and I could see it with my eyes, they were unemployed. The dynamics of my township at the time and where it was and the state of the township at the time, I was not happy with it. I didn't go to our government and ask for help. I didn't go anyone and ask for help. I sat down, I conceptualized it. I came up with the value chain. I came up with the strategy, not for my own good or for my own wants or anything like that. But the aim was to go back home and build with our people and change that reality. Today, some of the people that we employ in our community, in Alex, they're role models. They're inspiring many other people in our communities. So it's not only Theo, but it's so many of us through Bathu and through the support over the years. And which also helped us launch our CSI project, Bathu for Bathu Care Project. We thought about walking the journey with our future leaders, where we did our own school shoes and donated them for free, because we believe that school shoes have to be for free. It's a manifesto that in South Africa we've always had, and a promise that we've had around free education. And we thought, if we are about to get free education, why should we worry about the resources and the uniform and the school shoes to go to school? We are a footwear brand. We want to walk the journey with our future leaders. Why not do it by donating school shoes for them and have them walk their journey in the best way they know how? And our mandate with our CSR program is that we want to donate 1 million shoes in the next 10 years for free. And we want to start with 100,000 pairs for each and every financial year. And we did, again, the same way we started our business. Never went to the government or any corporate to ask for help. We took the very same proceeds that we got from the support that we get from our people. We reinvested those proceeds into the CSI project and manufactured school shoes for free and gave them and donated them to the people, the kids that need them. Because we want a Theo who's in grade 1, who's in grade 5, who's in grade 10, who's going to matric, who's tomorrow going to be a Yolanda Cuba leading a big corporate business, know how they've walked their journey. Who's tomorrow becomes the CEOs of multinational companies, know which brand had them walk the journey with them, a brand that is close to home, a brand that they can resonate with. Because oftentimes we see international food brands or international businesses not doing anything for our communities. Yet there's billions and billions of revenue that leave our continent. But we still, as African continent, exposed to so much of socio-economic issues. We are a brand that is socially responsible and understand our dynamics. And we want to show it. We don't want to say it for PR or anything. We want to walk the journey and walk, the path by doing and showing how we are doing it as brand. I can talk the whole day about Bathu and what are you doing, but thank you so much for the invitation, and thank you so much for everyone who joined us here. I believe we've got some Q&A after this. Thank you so much.
Wow, Theo. I don't know where to start, guys. I think maybe we should all put on our microphones and give Theo a very big applause.
Thank you.
Yo, this is amazing. This is amazing, unbelievably awesome. I have known the Bathu story from a distance, but hearing it from you and the thinking around it, it's just amazing, and it's something that we can relate to. I tried to put together notes, and I just realized that I was just getting a very long list. I just don't even know where to start from. It's just amazing, and then the questions are also just flowing through. I think this is how we are going to go, because there's just so many questions, so many nuggets. I don't know. So I think what we'll do is that we'll take maybe the first 3 questions, and then we'll take a break and then hear the story from our third participant in the Small Business Support Program. And then we'll come back again and take the remaining questions, because the questions are just a little bit too many. So guys, if you have any questions, we'll start with the panelists. You just raise your hand, you put on your camera, put on your microphone, and then you ask the question. Okay, I think we have a first question from VP Yolanda.
Inspiring story, Theo, all around. I mean, just, for people who don't know South Africa, Alex is one of the poorest settlements and almost unorganized settlements in South Africa. So it's literally awesome to actually hear that there is such an inspirational story coming from a room that is almost the size of a bathroom, if I can call it that. So yeah, well done, Theo, and very inspirational. I mean, a question from my side. I mean, a lot of times, people now live on social media and so on, right? And they see these successful people actually badging stuff and actually showing off, even if they've just made literally $10. And you said you actually delayed your gratification. You delayed stuff in order to build your business. How easy was that? I mean, when we see you, we see how successful you are, and you're still driving your 7-year-old car. It's not something that we see often. How easy is it? And what would you say were the 2 or 3 key values that help you actually then succeed?
Thank you. I think for me, I'm one person that is very authentic to my core, and I keep a very, I think, small circle. So that really helps me a lot in terms of knowing where I'm coming from and knowing and truly understanding where I want to go. I mean, when I quit my job and came back and started the business, still lived in LA, started from that room and still drove my old car. There were certain people that didn't believe I was working in Dubai. they thought maybe this guy. There's no way that he was working Dubai. He's probably even got fired, at Dubai or something like that. So for me, I was just focused. I think focus is one of the things that really helped me to focus on the bigger picture and be determined and keep a very small circle and remain authentic to my core, because entrepreneurship is more than just trade. I believe it's a calling. So always listening to that intuition that directs you about how do you go about building this and shutting down the noise outside or the world perception or the expectation from our society at large. That's what I did and that's what I applied. And I think at the core of why I started the business, it was to be of service to my community. I was actually up for promotion in the Middle East, but there was just a bigger, inner, stronger voice that said, leave and go home and build. So all the time, when you have a voice that just keeps on telling you, just do it. So I think that voice really helped me to just execute and risk it all the time, to a point that I had my partner at the firm in Dubai who wished me well and said, "Hey Theo, if this is what you're gonna do, I support you. Go do it." Just the other day, he sent me a message in LinkedIn and said, "I think you are abusing my well wishes because when I said you should do well, I didn't mean in this magnitude." So I think just listening to that inner voice and following my intuition really helped me a lot, and it's something that helped me a lot because I was just being myself. It was never for, I made it clear from day one, it was never for profit, for wealth, for material things. I just wanted to be of service. So literally offering myself to be of service and try to change what was exposed to me. It really helped me a lot.
Okay, thank you. I think we have a second question from Sheriff.
Yes, I mean, I think it's been awesome, Theo. I mean, listen to you. I mean, I'm sure if you had gone on for 3 hours, we would still, pay serious attention to you. But I picked something from what you said. You said you actually gave a quote when you started. You said, if you buy too much of something, why not own it? Yeah, I'm taking a lot of inspiration from that. But I'm sure you buy a lot of things. You buy a lot of groceries, you buy a lot of phones, a lot of shirts and all that. So what was that determining factor for you to say, I buy a lot of things, but the choice is going to be shoes and sneakers?
Very good question. So growing up, and it's not just shoes, but it's sneakers. So growing up, we used to be a great fan of sneakers, and in terms of style, comfortability, and innovation, and it's something that's always been there in me. And for me, I enjoyed it. I mean, when there was new releases, I remember there was a Stain Smith Adidas collection that was just coming out, and I was one of the first people to go for it, and I really enjoyed the limited editions. I appreciated the craftsmanship and that comes with sneakers and what goes into building that. So I think it was just beyond just sneakers, but there was this deep passion that I had for sneakers, and I really enjoyed that experience, and which forms a part of our vision, because through my travels as a sneaker consumer, I never went to a store that sells sneakers and it's one brand. And you can walk into that store and buy sneakers, just shop for innovative, creative sneakers, and still get to criticize some and go like, this one is too bright. This one is ugly. This one I can buy for my other cousin. This one I can buy for my green. Like just shop for sneakers. So this consumer in me, I haven't had that experience. So it's like, why not just create it with my own brand? And that is why today we only and strictly sell sneakers. So I hope that answers the question, is that it was one of the things, it was beyond just commodity and trade and buying. It was the love that I had for the experience around shopping for sneakers. And I think I was quite fortunate that when I did my research, I realized that we don't have that in Africa, or that is our own. And hence I started the business. So it's the passion in me. I enjoy selling. I enjoy telling stories. I enjoy, engaging with people. And I think sneakers were giving me that, because even when I was wearing limited editions of Adidas, whatever, people will stop me and will spark a conversation at the airport, wherever I was traveling, And I believe that the best stories are told at the airport. So when I was wearing my limited edition sneakers, I found myself having conversations with strangers around sneakers. And I realized it's something that I enjoy. So it's just beyond trade or commodity, but it's something that sparks great conversations, and gives you the cool factor and all of that. So I had that deep rooted passion for sneakers.
Great, great, great. Passion, passion, passion. We'll take our third question before we go on a short break. But I'll just read some of the comments that are coming through. This is from Bernard O'Mara. He says, great inspiration, Mr. Theo. Hopefully, our youth can learn a lot from you and we make South Sudan great. South Sudan a great nation. This is from James. He says, you are an inspiration to Africa and humanity at large. Great strides. Charles Techi Manson says, you make Africa proud. Seswani says, thank you, Theo. You truly are a force to be reckoned with. The comments are coming in fast. We'll take our third question from Matata Safi from Hagana Agro Processing. Matata, you put on your microphone and then you ask your question.
Wow, where did I start from? I must say I'm so much impressed and motivated with all that we had from the speaker. I'm so grateful that MTN can give us this kind of exposure to be able to learn from our brothers from the region. My question to him is, at times we get lost in opportunities. You see, like a country like South Sudan, if you look around yourself, you find that there are a lot of opportunities that you could, take as a starting up entrepreneur. And at times we make the wrong choices to choose what could be, that business that you want to do. I'm sure he might have gone through the same when he came with the idea that of all the other, businesses that were, available in South Africa, he only thought of a shoe that he would, start and start building on that brand until it became, a bigger brand. So, what advice would he give to entrepreneurs that are looking at opportunities and they start, vetting them? This one, should I do this, or should I venture into this, or should I venture into this? So, what could be his advice to, young entrepreneurs like that? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Very good question. So I think I'm gonna try to tie it to my previous answer. And business is business. At the end of the day, it's about you need to work towards building the bottom line and growing your market share and profit and so forth. But I would strongly advise that for you to enjoy the trajectory and build, with the right people in the right team and really build a business, try to build around passion, because it sort of, I wouldn't say it becomes easier, but it becomes a nice guideline and roadmap in unfavorable times of pursuit, or in unfavorable times of trade, because it's your heart is invested in it before the resources are invested in it. So the beauty about building around passion is that your heart goes in before the money goes in. The heart goes in before the investors goes in. You know what I mean? So it becomes sort of easier for you to sort of focus and really build an incredible business. And oftentimes, because you're passionate about this, you can actually, even in unfavorable times of trade, you can still pursue and build and punch above the weight. So that really helps a lot when starting a business, to build something that you're passionate about. One of also my philosophies, people are for it, people are not for it, but I really believe in building profile before you diversify. I found a lot of people doing too many things at once, and chances are they're all passionate about those things, but they're doing so much of them at once. I believe in really building profile, around one solid business, building the credibility around that, because in the future, when you build a great business and a great profile, that will speak to you in other avenues. Your credibility and your profile will speak to you even in your absence. Your profile and your credibility will get into boardrooms when you are even sleeping, and it will help grow your business. And that's what I believe in. But it takes time to really build that. And you build it around, I think, passion. That's my belief. Some people don't believe in it, but that is just one thing that I believe in, to say you build around, a passion, you focus on one thing, and you build great profile around it, and you build that credibility, which will, in the later stage in business, will expose you to other sectors as well.
Thank you, Theo. Thank you, Theo. So we have a lot more questions. Charles, I've seen your hand is up. You ask your question. Emmanuel Taban, I've seen your hand is up. You also ask your question. We'll just take our short break right now and hear from one of our participants in this small business support program. That is 734 Water. Let me just make sure that this technology does not let us down. So we'll do a quick check. Yes, we have audio, so we can now go and hear from 734 Water. When we come back from the break, we'll be taking our second and third questions, and then I have a long list of questions as well here that we will be putting up to our guest. It's the MTN Business Roundtable, coming to you live from Juba and streaming around the world. We are live on Facebook as well as also on Zoom. We'll be right back. Let's take this one break.
What inspired me is that during the struggle of this country, many of our people went to bordering country, and the bigger problem they have was water. So people die of dehydration because of no water and all that stuff. And that is stuck to my mind everywhere I go. We have a lot of water in this country that is resources that we could use. But those memory of me seeing people walking with the sticks and no water, and we have the knowledge, running away. So it always sticks into mind that one day, if I have opportunity, I will have a water that people can drink and they will appreciate their country. So that's what inspired me. Well, right now the people don't know how to be liquid berries new in the market, and to get into market, people have to know you. So we're looking in a platform like MTN to hopefully push us through so people can see us. Our challenge is water to water. There have been other water, but I'm very sure our water will stand up to the challenge, wherever the challenge is. EPA standards, built by General Motor. So we have the qualification the water needs, and we also, most of all, we are also environmental friendly. That means we don't use plastic waste, and we can never make Juba dirty. So we want a clean water, local products. Just get to know us. That's 734 right there for you. So I think that is, I think particularly South Sudan, I think we have to know that this is our country. The promise of this country, that was not a promise of South Sudan. We struggled so hard to get this country to where it is today. And we have to come back, work really hard to show the promise that we talk about. This is a promise of our country. Life in general does not promise, but you can make things better. I think that is the idea, the hope that we can do better than this. I think that's the ideal of the business. We have the water, we can drink and be served. We can create another business. I think it's just that we know that since 1983, UN has been founded. There has never been a country that was get a better economy because of UN. It's never been there, not been there. It will not be there again. That's how we should. This would be our country. We just have to build the system, how to make it going forward. I think that would be the inspiration for all of us.
Okay, thanks. It's great to hear the story of 734 Water, building an environmentally friendly water brand out of South Sudan. And if you live in Juba, you would applaud this initiative in 1,001 ways. But hopefully we'll get him to speak a little bit more about it. Thanks. We're still on the MTN Small Business Roundtable. Just a quick announcement. So VP Yolanda have had to leave us at the hour mark to attend to another engagement. Our acting CEO, Mr. Jerry Soko, is sitting in for her. Jerry, maybe you can give us a quick wave.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Hi, good afternoon, Jerry. Thanks for coming through for us. So we'll move to our next question. I think Emmanuel Taban, you had a question. I've just switched off the right to ask you to unmute. So if you can unmute and ask your question, Theo is still around. Emmanuel.
Hello.
Yes, Emmanuel, we can hear you very well.
Very good. A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, on MTN Business Roundtable. My name is Emmanuel Taban. George, as you can hear, I am the CEO of Settling Finance Services here in Juba. We deal in empowering youths and men and women actually in business industry and new upcoming entrepreneurs who are willing to come into the business industry. My question is, as I listen carefully to the speaker, I wanted to ask him what strategy did he use in complementing his business to become a real? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Emmanuel. You?
Sorry, I didn't get the last part. What strategy did I use to do what?
What strategy did you apply in your business that have made your dream to become real? Because all is about innovation.
Yes. Okay, cool. I think I wouldn't say it was strategy per se, but it was more of I think compiling different components that I think trade in South Africa it was. I mean, for the longest of time when you look at I looked at the South African retail landscape and how international brands were predominantly occupying the space and how international foreign brands are literally throwing to consumers products and messaging that is not tailor-made to a South African consumer, if I put it like that. And one of the things that I sort of put together in my business was that I wanted to get my messaging right and make it resonate with the consumer so that it hits home and is close to home. Whereas oftentimes, even African consumers are so tired of consuming products or services that they don't even know how they are playing a role in the economy, number one, how they are actually, adding value to their lifestyle. You don't really know. You're just buying something because it looks cool and it's appealing to the eye. So one of the things that I really got right, and I think I was very intentional about doing, is that I did not only just want to sell a cool shoe, but I wanted to connect, with the consumer right at the core, so that I can walk the journey with and I can be able to retain the consumer. And also number two, looking at the dynamics and the economies of retail in South Africa, is that we've got big players in the market that really consumes everyone who comes in that market, consume from, the clientele that go in. And I opted not to go for retail with the big retailers. What I then did was that I will build my own value chain. And the reason for that was that, because of the consumer and the era that we live in data, if I get to own the end-to-end value chain, at each and every component of the value chain, I get number one, to fulfill my mission, which is to create jobs and reignite hope. So when I warehouse my own products, I get someone to pack the shoes. When I buy my own trucks, I get someone to drive the truck. When I build my own retail store, I get someone to sell in the retail store. Most importantly, when Theo comes and buys the product, I get the data from Theo, which is the biggest commodity now. Whereas with big retailers, when you retail, you lose it in the middle of the value chain. You can only warehouse and distribute. Someone comes and buys your brand, but the data lies with the big retailer. So, putting that strategy together, that model together, helped me, thrive, because I can be able to get the data from the client and still control my product and use that data to remarket new products, to re-communicate, to re-engage, which in turn, helps me with retaining clients and increasing conversion.
Nice one, nice one. The next question is from Charles. Charles, put on your microphone and then ask the question.
Yeah. My question is pretty simple. There are so many other big brands, as in shoe brands in the system, and you've been in it for such a short time. In terms of quality, how has your journey been? Because I know how, sneaker consumers do. If you try for the first time and the quality is not good enough, I don't want to go for the same again. I don't know how your quality has been from the start up to this point. And if you're matching up against these guys, then you have to be, in terms of quality, in terms of durability, in terms of even the cool look. Now, as an African brand, how do you break in? Because in Ghana, for example, when people see products that are coming from local products, they don't look at them as quality. They always match up themselves with the big brands. And so how do you actually get this to this level and make it
very
happen?
Good question. Very good question, Charles. And I like that question. So part of my research and development, and with an effort to build a shoe brand that Africans can proudly affiliate with, one of the biggest I can task to do and to make sure that we fulfill that vision is product development, which also has quality processes in them. So I did 18 months research and development. Mainly one of the things why I did that was because, except for the fact that I was client for 13 times, was that we developed 21 samples before our final product. And the reason why we did that with the mesh edition was that sample number 2, sample number 5, sample number 8, sample number 16 was not of great quality with where we want to get the final product out and benchmark it, with the right quality. Number 2, the biggest challenge in South Africa, I'll speak about South Africa because this is what I know for sure, is that textile industry in South Africa is not doing so well. The craftsmanship is very much challenged, and that is why almost all the consumers that come from Africa, they source from the East or other parts of the world, because the craftsmanship and the resources here, it's not competitive enough. Number 3, also in terms of sneaker technology, that was one of the challenges that I had in terms of getting the right sneaker technology to develop quicker, better, and of great quality and more efficiently. That was the biggest challenge as well, which still today, I must be honest with you, we still struggle with. And then what I then did to make sure that my products go out there and we have that durability is that I don't rely on my factory. So when it comes to Bathu, our headquarters, we also have our own QC processes. And we decided to add that mainly because we want to be able to manage our reverse logistics, but importantly, we want to retain the client. So we don't just get from the factory and just package and dispatch. We make sure that we do our own QCs, so that anything that we get from the factory, we can be able to return back and say, oh, this batch out of the 1,000, 200 we don't want. We actually want a refund. We'll only take the 800 because the 200 is not of quality. And ever since we introduced that component in the production line or in the value chain, our reverse logistics is very small. Our return rate is almost close to 0%. The only returns that we get is because Charles bought a size 9 and the fit is not the same. So therefore he wants a size 10. You know what I mean? So we then did a QC, component in our value chain and set up a QC business unit in, the value chain and supply chain to ensure that we do that. But I must say, as Africans, in terms of product development, not only in shoes or footwear, when it comes to textile and apparel, we still have a long way to go and catch up and be competitive, which is one thing that I'm willing to take up the challenge and make sure that we are also very much, competitive in that avenue in terms of quality and product development. And I must admit, we are not there as yet. The East and many other parts of the world, they still beat us, by such huge difference. But it's a task, and we can do it together, inclusively together as Africans. If we can have, facilities, sneaker technologies developed in this continent to help African consumers and African products to be of even better, 10 times of quality, that would be great. So I've started a shoe business. Someone from Senegal, someone from Nigeria can come and say, you are seeing your product, but I came up with a better sneaker technology to make sure that you are competitive. Someone from Botswana says, I've got the facility to actually make sure that we actually maintain this and we compete with these guys. You know what I mean? So I started one side, which is brand and development, but I need the help and inclusive from everyone in Africa to come and say, let's make it even better so that we can become, that number one shoe brand. Yeah. So, but that's how I'm managing it currently.
Great. We'll go for our third question, and then from there we will take another break before we wrap this up. But before we take the third question, I think I'll just go through some of the comments coming through. This one from Lily Zondo says, truly inspiring, well done. Helda Aburi just sends a lot of clubs and celebrating you, Theo. Suk Juba says, that's great. Chisanga Kazia says, humbled and focused. So we'll take this as our third question. This one is from Virginia Rice. It says, do you have any plans to franchise your business to other parts of Africa or the world to expand your brand into new markets?
100%. I mean, with the study that Brands Africa has conducted, and obviously with the most recent accolade of being part of the top 100 most admired African brands, ranking number 10 on that list, we've also done our own internal study and survey where it has shown that the results have shown that we have a great appetite in SADC, East and West Africa, and that's where we want to go in the future. But obviously, I wouldn't call it a franchising model, but I would go more of partners in those regions when you penetrate, mainly because obviously we understand that the dynamics are different. The nature of business and trade in those parts of those regions, it's completely different as well. So we will be able to, to partner, or we are planning to partner with the relevant key players or retail key players in those regions to make sure that our brand promise is properly advocated for and amplified in those regions.
Great. Okay, guys, we are still on the MTN Small Business Roundtable, coming to you from live from Juba in South Sudan. We'll go for the fourth feature. This is the fourth beneficiary of the MTN Small Business Roundtable. It's Hagana Agro Processing Limited. Let's hear from Matata, and then we'll come back and wrap up.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, MTN. I'm called Matata Safikamis. I'm the founder of Hagana Agro Processing Company Limited. We are a youth-led company. We looked at providing opportunities for our rural communities. We know that South Sudan is blessed with a lot of resources, but at times we don't see those opportunities. We decided to help our local communities to come up with an idea of providing market for what they produce. And when we thought of that, we looked at what are the things that we can look at to provide opportunity for these communities. And one thing that came on the top list was honey. We started, mobilizing communities to produce honey that will provide market for. So our business model is in a way that we only provide the market, not to be like a producer. We gave the production aspect of a value chain to the farmers. So by doing so, we are encouraging them to produce, and we come in to buy the honey from them. The money that we pay to these farmers help them to meet their day-to-day needs in life. They are able to send their children to school. They're able to meet their medical needs. They're able to dress themselves. This is the business that we do, and we have been doing it for the last 4 years. It's not an easy thing, but we stood our ground and we are still moving strong. It's very, very difficult to start up a business, particularly in a post-conflict country like South Sudan. The roads are very bad, and for a company like Hagana that deals in agro-business, you have to go to the deepest part of the country to get your raw materials. And if the roads are very bad, the costs are going to be very high. Your cost of production is definitely going to be high. So this is one challenge that we face. Challenge number 2 is we are competing with very cheap imported goods that are, they are looking at South Sudan market as a major market for them. So because our cost of production is high and these goods are coming very cheaply, that's another challenge that we face. The third challenge is it's very difficult to break through to the market because people don't know about you. And if people don't know about you, nobody's going to buy your product. And these are the challenges that we face. However, as a business, we face each challenge as it comes. We have been able to try in a very small way to tell people that the products that we did are very organic compared to the products that are coming from outside that are highly fortified, and they are not very good for your health. Because today we have a lot of sicknesses that are coming up because of eating very highly processed food. So that is one market entry that we are using to say that, look, you need to go organic for you to have a very good health. And then on the issue of trying to reduce the cost of production, we are looking at mobilizing the communities to pull their produce together. We come and carry it at once, so that we don't go every time, carry a few, you bring them to your production facility and also go back. So that is how we are trying to reduce on the cost of production. And then again, as a young country like South Sudan, most of the production, the packaging materials, we have to, get them across the borders. There are no companies that are doing packaging materials here. The bottles that we use for packaging honey, we have to get them from Uganda or Kenya. Even the labels, some of the cuttings may not be done locally, so that makes the cost of production a little bit high. But yeah, as I said, we are meeting. We are looking at each challenge as it comes, and we look at the positive side of that challenge to turn it into an opportunity. Believe in yourself. Push forward for your goals. For people, along the journey, somebody is going to come to your help. Just like I said, people have not been able to know us very much. 4 years down the road, we are grateful today that MTN has, come up to lift us up, to be able to put us out there for people to know. So this is how it moves. Somebody will come to help you along the way. If you're not going to be very persistent, you're not going to be very committed, you will disappear before somebody gets to know about you.
Yes, you have to be persistent, and along the way, somebody will come and help you. It's a wonderful afternoon here. It's the MTN Small Business Roundtable coming to you live from Juba. Before the break, we're taking questions from our guest. For our guest, Mr. Theo Baloyi, I think Catherine, your hand was up before we went on the break, so we will ask you a question, and then we have some other questions that have also come through. But before we wrap up as well, we will be giving a sneak preview in terms of what our next session would also look like. I think this season of the Small Business Roundtable, we are being blessed in a lot of ways. If I announce who our next guest is, I think Theo has just set the foundation and put the bar so high. I'm sure by now he is panicking and wondering if he will live up to the standard that has been set. Catherine, I think you can put on your camera and ask your question.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Catherine, and I want to thank the Business Roundtable initiative, and I want to thank the Bathu CEO for giving us time to talk to the small businesses around. And I just have a few things to put forward that would like to get responses for. One is I need to know from his side what message or what advice he would have for businesses that have gone down, especially during the COVID-19 starting last year. I work with the corporate department, and I've moved to several offices, and I find doors are locked
And whenever you ask them, COVID came and there's no business, so they had to close down. So I need to know from your side, maybe you can help the people who are watching us online to know how they can resurrect that business to come up again and do something better that can make it big. And then secondly, there are people who may have ideas of what they really want to do, but they don't know how they can put it down, like in writing. I can have the idea in my mind, so many ideas, but I find it very hard to put it in written. Basically, it may be because I don't have the business management skills. So many people are outside there, they don't have the business management skills and no access to someone who can really help them about it. I don't know what advice you can give us on that point. And then the last is the mindset. How do we change the mindset of our own people, especially like people in South Sudan? Locally produced products look like something that is not genuine enough for them to consume in the market. What strategy can these small businesses use to change the mindset of their own people, to learn to accept their own products produced by their own people for their own consumption? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Catherine. Very, very good questions. I think the first one, it's rather unfortunate that the global economy has had great impact due to the pandemic, number one, and a lot of businesses and corporates and some of even the state-owned entities or departments have actually taken a knock and can no longer maybe support or execute some of the projects that they had prior COVID, right? So could be a government department or an entity that had big plans, before COVID, and now COVID happened, they had to come back, cut jobs, cut budgets, and so forth. So in that aspect, I think what I would advise is that we are in the middle of the pandemic, which the global economy has suffered, a lot. But in the same breath, I feel like it was a moment of opportunity to press reset of different sectors, reset the models, reset the value propositions, reset how we show up in market and even in trade. And I think it's very good in a sense that it gives us a very central place to start from, because no one knows what's going to happen next, which is also a moment of innovation and a moment of opportunity, in a sense that we can really look at our value propositions and really look at the sectors. And sometimes even COVID, sort of gave birth new sectors or new industries, that we can now start, we can all start from and start working in, So in that, we don't cry over spilled milk, but we sort of look at the existing opportunities and try to, look at the value proposition. Some of the entities that have taken a knock, they don't even know how they're going to solve or get out of the mess that they find themselves in. And maybe that's when we come and try to also help them and add value to say, hey, before COVID, this is where you are, this is what happened. We think this is how we can help you as a client, achieve the objectives that you had prior COVID, So I think that's sort of the mindset that we need to have, to say it's a moment of reset and great opportunities. We need to think about value add more than anything else. And I always talk about there's a thin line between being creative and being innovative and building a business, and each and every business, and irrespective of how cool it is or with the cool factor that it brings or the innovation that it brings, there's always a business side that is required for that business to scale, to be sustainable, and to create impact. It doesn't matter where you come from, so or what are you doing. So I think as an entrepreneur, you need to know what you're good with, and then for the things that you're not good at, you need to be able to know where to get them and how to get them and how to leverage, those things. Because oftentimes I've seen creatives get too excited about a concept, about a product, that they don't even want to address the fact that there needs to be a business side to this cool product or this innovation or this thing that is trending. You know what I mean? We even see it in music to say the song is nice, people love it. But irrespective of the song being consumed across the globe, we still need accountants behind the song. We still need attorneys behind the song. We still need the corporate mechanism behind the song, because it's not just a song, it's a business, which is in music and entertainment. So what I'm trying to say is that entrepreneurs sometimes, or creatives, you become an artist. You create something that is liked, but you forget that it's not just a song. You know what I mean? It's not just a work of art. It's actually a business. So you need to be able to get the right people, the right support if business is not a thing, so that it can help you support the business element of it, so that it becomes sustainable, so that it creates impact, so that it solves the real problems that we are facing as Africans. So I think that's very, very important. I can't stress it enough. If you're not an accountant, you're not a lawyer, you don't like the business stuff, but you are very good in creating and conceptualizing it, remember one thing, it's still a business and it needs the right skill set for whatever that you've innovated or you conceptualized to be sustained. Number three, it's a big challenge in terms of consumers. I experienced it myself. When you are selling to local consumers who have a different perception around local products, and it's very difficult to shift. So it's a mindset shift more than anything. And I think we also, as business owners, we need to be able to, like Charles asked a few moments ago about quality, we need to be able to really produce, products of great quality so that our consumers can support us wholeheartedly. But more than anything else, I think the big question is we need to understand, if we're spending our money in a product or service, the big question is, how is it helping, your community? How is it helping your economy? Are you going to buy something that is cool, but the money is leaving Africa to go to other continents? So as consumers, we need, and consumers and business owners, we need to work together and collaborate in that so that we keep, the resources or African resources circulating in the continent. We make sure that we have that collaboration happening in the continent, and we're gonna get it right. So it's a very difficult thing so that we can move the consumer's mindset to believe in that, So it goes beyond just the product, but the impact that comes with supporting our own, So we also, another thing that I truly believe in is that oftentimes with entrepreneurs that start products and businesses locally, they always think about the next city in South Sudan. They develop for the next person in Sudan. They don't think about, and I think this is where the Americans beat us. The Americans develop and create businesses for the globe. It's never about the guy in New York. It's never about a guy in San Francisco. When they do something, it's always around the globe. So it's about time we as Africans as well, build products and services for the globe. To say, yes, I'm starting in a room in Alexandria, but I'm not building for the guy in the next township. I'm building for a person who's also in France, someone who's in Argentina, someone who's in Portugal, to look at my products and to look at my brand and be like, I want to buy that brand, not because it's from Africa, but because the brand promise, because the products, the brand values align with me as a guy who's in France or as an Italian, not because it's African. So I think when we develop and come out businesses, it's about time that we have a global view and a global acumen towards consumers. And I think that's where we're going to be able to punch above the weight and put in more effort in terms of developing products of quality. And after some time, it's not going to be easy. Over time, African consumers are going to start strongly believing in consuming local.
Great response, Theo. And I'm genuinely one of the people who believe that with all the efforts towards promoting inter-Africa trade, Africans will progressively grow to believe in the quality of products, because then when I see a sneaker that is made in South Africa and I wear it and it's this good, or I buy a shoe from Ghana or from Nairobi and it's this good, or I buy that bag from Ethiopia and it's this good, then that whole mindset that has been built over years begins to go away, because now we actually use African products that we know are of top quality. Awesome response. We are running out of time, but we still have 3 more questions to go. Setwani has a question. Sets, please put up your camera and ask your question. Sets.
All right, hello. Hope everyone can hear me. Hi, hello, Theo.
Hi.
All right, so I have one question. Adding to what Yolanda asked you at the beginning about some of the key values that you live by every day, what I would like to know also are some of the key skills that you would recommend for somebody who wants to start a business, especially in a very competitive environment such as the one you're in right now. And given that you're a CA by profession, has that training or qualification helped you in any way to succeed? Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks. I'll listen.
Thank you so much. Yeah, definitely. I think corporate experience has really helped me, in my entrepreneurial journey, and with the experience that I've had with the firm, I've gotten great values, and the beauty about what I've done also at the firm was that I was in consulting, which also exposed me to different sectors, exposed me to different models, business models and great leaders as well. So it really, really helped me to shape me to be the leader that I am and to be the person that I am in my business today. And one of the most important things, it goes back to the advice that I've given, is that, when you're starting a business, I think one of the most important thing that you oftentimes I see startups neglect, it's human capital, HR, where people really overlook the importance of having the right policies in place, the importance of employee retentions, or even human capital strategy to sustain, because we often think that HR is just a matter of contract of employment. We sign, this is your leave days, this is your salary, this is, and we sign and you have to come to work. But the reality is this, we are employing people, and people are creators of emotions. And, whether you like it or not, they are people. So it goes beyond a contract of employment. These are people that are going to help contribute and add value to the vision and grow the vision and grow the business. So businesses, whether you're employing 2 people or 3 people, make sure that your policies and the manner of engagement with the 2 people is really aligned with your vision, and your strategy, so that it can help scale the business. Because I tell you this, if you don't do that, when you go through a growth curve in your business, you will have people issues, not the nicest thing to have. So my advice to entrepreneurs when they're starting is that never neglect or overlook the importance of a great human capital business unit that is well integrated with policies to govern the people in the business.
Great one. Now, our next question is from Sam Ado. He says, hi, please help me understand when to outsource and when to own the value chain as an SME.
Yeah, good question. I really, really love that question, because it's so much important. I think as a startup, that is one of the questions that you should try to answer, if not every day, but at least every week, because the dynamics and the scale of your business keeps on growing depending on the appetite of the market. You know what I mean? You can be this size this week and this size the next week. So you need to be able to ask that question and answer it the right way almost every day. The reason for that is because as a startup, depending also on your value chain, you might be generating revenue, but the result is that you have an OPEX bill. You still have operational expenditures in your business. And some of them might be small, some of them might be good. But you get to a point whereby, you need to really know where to put your money, in which avenues to reinvest your money. And you do sort of a cost versus benefit exercise, depending again on the size of your business, as to whether is it really expensive for me to outsource this, or is it better if I own it? And because, sometimes it's either you're outsourcing skill, resources, and so forth. When it comes to that, each and every resource has its own technicalities and dynamics. Those dynamics and the technicalities that resource brings, is it really aligned with your vision and the nature of your business? I can't be a foodware business that really stresses about IT infrastructure, maybe if I put it like that, or that really stresses about something out of the scope of what I want to achieve in my vision. And sometimes it's best to really outsource the technical stuff that are not aligned with the nature of your business, so that you let the experts maintain it and sustain it for the benefit of your business, and that cost versus benefit exercise will really guide you as to when to outsource and when to, just bring everything else in-house. So you need to really understand your business and the dynamics of your business, and they will be able to guide you to say, what is it that you need to outsource? What is it that you need to build? Because certain things, if you outsource them, they're going to bring a lot of weight to your business, a lot of stress to your business, and they're going to move you away from the main focus and the main mandate of your business. You end up spending so much money and so much time focus on something that is not really even your nature of your business, and that shifts you away from your vision. But you can easily outsource the skill and the expert to do that for you, so that you focus on the vision and the nature of your business.
So we'll take our last. Oh, sorry, I think my mic was off. Yes, this one is from Nana
Yes.
Alfred Taban. It says, it's really inspiring to hear your story, and it definitely shows a lot of hope to never give up on your big dreams. I just want you to highlight, how have your priorities changed from when you first started? And knowing what you know now, is there anything you would have done differently from when you were starting out?
I love that question, and the reason why I love it is because I started discovering certain things now at this size of my business. So when I started the business and I had 5 stores and I had 40 people working for the business, or just under 40 people working for the business, I had the best time of my life, right? Because obviously the brand is new, only a few stores, a few people. And I wish I could have enjoyed that moment, because it's a completely different ball game when you have 30 stores and 250, people working for the business. The mistake that I've made and the assumption that I've made at the time was that with 40 people working for the business and 5 stores, this is how business is going to be for the next 5 years. It's always going to be nice like this, and all of that. But what I found interesting was that, when the business grows and depending on the size, it comes with a lot of technicalities, to your side. It comes with a lot of challenges. The dynamics change, the industry change, the approach change, and there's just so much that you have to deal with. So, and I would advise to other entrepreneurs to say, wherever you are, as an emerging business, as a concept, as a startup, 2 years in, always know that everything else is going to change the minute you grow. And I think that is the most important thing, and you better be ready for that growth. So oftentimes growth is not just as nice, as when you start, or as we think it might be. It comes with so much, and you need to be ready, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and otherwise for the growth. And I think that's one thing that I would have, I think I would have loved to change. I would have prepared myself for the growth, but now I'm doing it like on the job training, and as it goes.
Awesome. Okay, now I think we'll go for our final question. GNM Beauty Parlor, you have a question, just put on your microphone and your camera, and you can ask the question. Yeah, hello, Chol, we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you so much. My question is, as a beautician, there's a lot of things that we are facing. So how do I deal with my customers as a beautician?
Okay, thank you. Dealing with customers, Theo. Dealing with customers, especially if you have some that are as difficult as me.
Yeah. I think, again, it speaks to being a customer-centric business. Is very, very important to always be customer-centric. And in our business, we've got a philosophy where we say we are an experiential brand, and we try to express our experiences. I mean, we currently have the sneaker customization lab, where you can come and customize your sneakers as per your need and tailor make it to what you want. So being able to go over and beyond to build a great customer experience for your clients really, really helps a lot. But it's not so easy, because people are different, customers are different, people come in with expectations as well. So it's very important that you, as you start a business, and if you can, you need to understand that the people that in the forefront of your business, in your absence, in your presence, need to be people that are customer centric and really understand customers. And they are mature to really take the emotions, from customers as well. It's very, very important. You need to have true advocates of your business at all times. People that are going to be able to say, I listened to Theo on, on a webinar, and I actually went to the Bathu store, and it almost seems like it's the same thing. What he spoke about, what he gave, and his energy and his attitude, it's exactly what I got when I went to the stores. And you need to make sure that the people in the business really understand that, because people buy experiences. Yes, people pay for products, but people buy experiences. And make sure that your customer experience always tells your customers come back. And some experiences, are not always great, but depending on how you handle your bad experiences, you need to always aim to end it with a good experience. So that customer that had a bad engagement or bad experience in the beginning can always come back, and actually advocate for your brand more. And actually, the most important thing, and the reason why you need to be even more of a customer-centric business, is because the customers are the right people, are the people that grow your brand, are the people that are true advocates, even true advocates better than brand ambassadors. People who go and say, I myself went on to spend my money on this product, and I've seen the results, and I've seen the cool facts and the value that it's adding to my business. No brand ambassador can advocate for a brand than a customer. So that is why it's very important to be customer centric at all times, because customers are not just customers. Customers are true advocates of your business. So wow. I can watch an MTN ad. That's what my point is. I can watch an MTN ad with an influencer, but if I go on my phone and I have issues or I don't have a great experience with MTN, I can't advocate for it further. There's nothing that can make me advocate for it. I can watch a celebrity wearing Bathu, and I saying it's a great product until I go and experience it myself so that I can advocate it better. There's no one who can advocate for your brand than a customer.
That is amazing, the moment of truth when you actually use the product. Theo, I can't even thank you enough. It's been amazing. The time just flew by. We have barely 8 minutes more to wrap up. So we'll just address a few housekeeping issues that have come up, and then we'll take our closing remarks from our acting CEO. So basically, people want to know how to join the Small Business the Small Business Support Program. It's very simple. You just send a one-page proposal to tell us what you think or how you think this program can help your business scale. You send it to mtnbusiness.ss@mtn.com. I repeat, mtnbusiness.ss@mtn.com. The details are on our Facebook page. If you go on our Facebook page, you will see this. We also, in the next month, we'll have the second episode of our roundtables. I think if you can see my screen, we'll be having a fireside chat with Africa's youngest entrepreneur who has a business that has been valued at over $1 billion. That is the CEO and co-founder of Chipper Cash, Ham Serunjogi from Uganda. He will be joining us on the 20th of November to talk about the building of Pan-African unicorns, the story of Chipper Cash. And if we take from the message from Theo today, it's important that young Africans begin to think Pan-African. And this is a young man way before the age of 30, and he has a business that is valued at over $2 billion. We'll be hearing his story again on the 20th of November. We would now invite our CEO to give us closing remarks, and we would wrap up on today's session. Mr. Jerry Soko, thank you very much for sticking with us, and over to you before we give our final thanks to Mr. Baloyi.
Thanks, Saint. And Mr. Baloyi, I guess, wow, what an inspiration, man. It's been an awesome afternoon. We spend so much time in this business sometimes looking at
numbers and costs and profitability here. Sometimes just stepping out and looking at it from someone else's pair of eyes brings out a lot that sometimes we miss out. So thank you to you for giving us the time, for spending your afternoon with us. And I see your name is Baloyi, so I guess if I say Kialabohai, then I'm in the right space. Cool. No, that's good. And I guess maybe just a few points that I noted, and maybe just my perspective on one or two things. I know Catherine had asked a question around, how do you push people to buy local? And it's such a great question, right? But the more we think about it, and the more businesses transform in the African sense, and to some extent, COVID has also brought that dimension to us when we realize that from an African perspective, we're actually so far behind in terms of breaking into the global world. It then brings the question or the idea of actually maybe Africa should transform from buy local to buy African. Because it's only through the interlinking of African countries into trading amongst ourselves that we can build the scale in Africa that can eventually break into the Western world, as opposed to sort of still thinking of localizing it. So to some extent, Catherine, part of our journey as Africans should be, can we build brands, products, and services that Catherine can sell into Uganda, and Uganda can sell into South Africa, and that sort of thing. So that's for me the one part. And I guess the second part to that is, as Africans, it's time we started to build the trust in our own products. A few years ago, I started wearing African print pants. I mean, I wear a formal suit here and there, depending on the occasion, and the odd pair of jeans here and there. But 60-70% of the time, I wear African print pants. So maybe, Theo, I'll visit you one of these days to see how we can make an African print shoe. That would be great to see. And I guess, the question on outsourcing is one thing that has been there for some time. But if you notice in a lot of businesses, again, you have to figure out what is your niche, what is your expertise. And then the areas that are not in your expertise, particularly those that do not have to do with your value chain, can then, peripherals can then be sort of things that you outsource. If you look at the telecoms market, a couple of years ago, we outsourced the call center, outsourced the towers. So maybe part of answering that question is you need to understand, your value chain in your business. What is your core? What are you good at? What can you not afford to leave out of your, let's call it your eyesight, and then, give it to the experts that then can provide those services. So that's sort of just, my perspective on it. But to our customers, again, just in finalizing who are on the line, from a business perspective, and I guess Yolanda probably did touch on it, I wasn't there initially, but we're still, gonna invest more and more on providing the connectivity that is required. Our belief as a group is everyone deserves the benefit of a modern connected life. That extends to our business partners within, the business world. So you expect that we will continue to invest in connectivity, but more importantly, and I guess, Theo, you might also, might resonate with you, businesses needed to transform, and we are also transforming from, looking at our customers and thinking that we understand the products and services. Generally, we have provided a product, as opposed to addressing a need. And that's where, even for ourselves, when we look at now providing more content services, financial services, and so on, is to use our connectivity business to enable your businesses through providing solutions that you need. So part of the reasons when we come up with these discussion boards is to really understand what issues are you facing as startups, as small businesses, in either in connectivity or in the over-the-top products and services, and then how do we then connect with yourselves to support, address a particular need through the services that we offer, be it connectivity, be it content. So in a nutshell, from an MTN perspective, please do expect that we'll continue to provide the connectivity, but more importantly, the support that these programs are bringing up. We'll continue to do that. We'll continue to connect with you to try and understand your needs and try and transform our business to match up to the needs from that perspective, and obviously empower your businesses a bit more. So once again, Theo, thank you so much for your time, and to the wider audience, our partners, thank you again for spending your afternoon with us. And I hope this program will continue to support and help you run your businesses more efficiently, either from a cost management perspective or just from the perspective of making business easier to run. Saying thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jerry. I think we can all put our cameras on and say a big thank you and give a round of applause whilst we wrap up on today's session to Mr. Theo Baloyi. Come on, guys, let's say a big thank you to our guest. Thank you. Thank you. We can put on our microphones as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Theo. We are indebted to you. We are going to pick some of the questions that have come in that you weren't able to address, and we'll send it to you by email, and we'll go onto the video on Facebook and post all the answers to the questions that haven't yet been addressed. To all those who posted questions that haven't been answered, you can go onto the Facebook channel and you will see under the video, we'll put all the responses there. Thank you very much. Have a great day, and we'll see you in November. Great. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.